All right, it's good to have you here. For everybody who's new to the channel, which I would assume would be literally everybody because I just started this YouTube channel, my name is Eric, and I operate through the website watersofmemory.com. And I write articles there on spirituality, personal development, energy healing, and I also offer services like attunements, energy healing, and coaching through that website. And Candy here, she's a very skilled energy worker and magician that I've gotten to know over the past several months through a group that I'm part of. So I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself, talk about her site and some of what she does, and then we'll dive into today's topics.
Hi, I'm Candy. I am a healer, energy healer, magician. I work out of the website blackcrowsoulbeacon.com. Um, I am looking to grow my clients. So I just go check out my website. I'm sorry, I'm not good at this, but whatever.
Well,
Anyway, yeah.
it's like
So
we've talked privately. I think with anything like this, you always go into it just like, okay, the first time I do this, it's gonna suck, and I'm gonna let it suck.
yeah,
and
pretty
I'm just
much.
and I'm just going to keep rolling. And that's exactly what I would advise to anybody else who's starting anything,
Yeah.
because it's not just about social media or being on camera or public speaking. It applies to literally everything. Like if you're a writer, if you want to create a short story, just accept the first draft is going to suck because it might not. But if you
Yeah.
give yourself permission to let it suck, then you actually get started. And there's so much more value in actually getting started than there is in doing everything right.
Yeah. I think I'm just better off like having a conversation because I get too like conscious about like
hmm
talking to myself. It feels like, so I
Yeah,
just,
I know exactly what you're talking about because I've tried doing different videos solo, and I will get around to publishing videos solo, but it always feels a lot more stilted and a lot more
mhm,
awkward, and I'm stuttering and stumbling over my words way
mhm.
more. I stumble over my words way more doing that than I do just pacing around talking to myself. It's
Yeah,
like, man,
exactly.
I
Because you're
wish I had a
stuck.
microphone in
Yeah.
front of me right now because this would be great.
Yeah. In the car, I'm like driving and all these like random thoughts will start hitting my head. And I'm like, nowhere to write it down. I can't record it because I'm driving. And then by the
Yeah.
time I get to where I can write it down, I've forgotten what I've been thinking about.
hmm
So it's like, why do you do that to me when I can't do anything about it?
And I think part of it too is like it's like there's neural pathways where sitting down here in front of the camera with a microphone on, it's not actually different than just pacing around and talking to myself, but my brain interprets it as being entirely
Exactly.
different.
Exactly. That's funny.
So
But yeah,
I,
I'll just as we go, I'll just get into like I'll talk more about like what I do and stuff as we get more into what we're going
Mhm.
to talk about. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I would invite you to like self-promote as much as you want because like I said in the intro, you are one of the more skilled people that I've worked with. And like when you've passed attunements off to me, it's not often these days that I actually feel attunements that I take in because I've taken in so many.
right, yeah, yeah,
But I'll actually feel the shifts when you send something my way.
nice.
So
That's always good to hear.
there's a very small list of people that I will actually recommend other people go to.
Hmm.
Uh, and there's reasons for me to recommend other people for me to recommend people to seek out other practitioners because I know that I'm not going to be the perfect fit for everyone, and
Right,
I'm also not
exactly.
going to be the perfect fit in every single scenario. Just like not everyone is the perfect fit for me. Like there's maybe two or three different people I'll go to for different things, just like there's two or three different readers I'll go to for different things.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and like this would be a great topic for another time, either when I'm doing a video, if you've had experience when you're doing a video, or when we sit down together again. But I've been to healers where they weren't actually healers. Like they were vampires pretending to be healers.
Oh yes, yeah. I've heard about that.
hmm Like there was one who was doing what they call the emotion code, and that's where it basically pent up emotions, trapped emotions, they get taken right out of you.
Hmm.
And it sounded like a great modality, and it might be if it's with a practitioner who has
Right.
integrity.
Yeah.
But I know after a session of that with one particular person, for the next month, I was ravenously hungry. And it seemed like absolutely nothing could actually make that go away. Like it evened
Wow.
out over time, but I had enough going on at that time that it didn't occur to me to link that session to the hunger. Like there was a lot of transformations going on, a lot of shifting. But once I got 2 months removed from it, I realized that person took a very large chunk of my energy.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. That's kind of like what happened with me. Like I had that happen where I was always drained. I started feeling really tired and drained, and it lasted months and like months. And finally, it clicked. It was somebody that was close to me at the time that was
Hmm.
like taking. I had to like cut it off, and then all my energy came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that in healing work, and this is a tip that I would give to just about anybody, is that it's very rare that somebody needs to know extensive details of something that you have experienced, like a trauma that you've experienced, in order to do energy work that helps you.
Hmm.
So one of the red flags with the services that this person offered is that oftentimes the session would stop and you get really into the nitty gritty
Hmm.
of something that happened in the past. And what I've realized over time is that this can be counterproductive. It can be counterproductive on multiple levels because I don't think you actually have to relive anything in order to achieve healing. I think,
I
yeah, I think that gets in the
completely
way
agree
of
with
it.
that. Oh my gosh, I my daughter is like having to see a therapist and do all this stuff, and she doesn't like it. And I keep reminding her, I'm like, you don't have to go through it all the trauma all over again and relive the trauma to heal from the
Mhm.
trauma. Like it's just not a thing.
Right,
I mean, I know they think you think you have to, but you don't.
right.
Like I've healed myself. I've healed myself, like not completely, obviously, but I've come a long way, and I still
Hmm.
have a long way to go. But I know I've healed my own self using, different mantras, tactics, meditations, whatever you call them. But yeah, and I've come this far by myself,
Hmm.
but with a little bit of help. But
And I think talking can be useful up to a point, but we emphasize talking too much. We treat
Mhm.
healing like it's something that's done in the head and that it's done by verbally communicating, when that is probably the least and most counterproductive way to try and heal. I
Mhm.
think it serves a purpose up to the point that you get clarity on certain things. Like you have bolts of inspiration, you see
Yeah.
something from a new angle, but I think that it goes in cycles. So if I've hit a wall with everything else, that's the time to start talking. And then once I've had like this bolt of inspiration or I've seen things from a new angle, that's the time
Mhm.
to now apply what I just realized.
Yeah.
Be
Exactly. Yeah.
because if I keep talking, all that's going to happen is I'm going to navel gaze. I'm going to create new problems that
Hmm.
may or may not even exist to justify continuing the conversation.
Hmm.
Like if you start in your head and you think that you need to be in your head when you experience healing, all you're going to do is spin your wheels.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and I do that sometimes, not consciously, and then I have to catch myself
Yeah.
and like rearrange things in there.
Yeah, and the crazy part is I don't even think that that's how we're naturally oriented. I think that our
No.
society conditions us toward that. I mean, when you think about it, the school system just in itself, it
Oh, don't
disconnects
even
us
talk
from
about.
everything from the
Yeah.
neck down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's, yeah. I don't want to get into that. That's a whole nother. It's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, no, if we want to keep continuing, like if we want to make a weekly show, we've got enough to work with.
Seriously, we just like get off on a rant and just.
So I know that one of the first things I wanted to dive into was through the course of my initiations, I started working with a being known as Erebus.
Okay.
And Erebus, for anyone who isn't familiar with him, he is the Greek god of darkness,
Okay.
and he is also the consort of Nyx, who is the goddess of the night. And Erebus has been very interesting and somewhat challenging for me because he is the first entity that I ever started working with where I didn't find information about him, and there wasn't very much information to find when I started working with him. The way that I tapped into his energies originally was by first initiating through the Sephiroth, and then through the veils beyond the Sephiroth, and then into a labyrinth that's beyond the Sephiroth.
Hmm.
So going through that initiatory path, I started tapping into the energies of the void, and that's when
Okay.
I became aware of him.
Okay.
And so recently, he passed on an attunement to me that has been an absolute wild ride.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Don't.
yeah, when I first took it in, I started perceiving what I would describe as miniature black holes
Hmm.
swirling around within my energetic field. And the first thing that came to mind is like, this feels like a very protective energy.
Hmm.
And it is a protective energy, but it's evolved into something a lot more than that. So
Yeah.
one of the other applications that uh, I've come up with for it is I will open up one of those black holes. What I've realized is I can consciously manipulate and generate them. So I can open up one of those black holes and I can make that a portal for different energies that I want to send through. I can use it to stabilize a portal that maybe would be difficult for me to maintain otherwise by placing it inside of it. And it seems to be a very cleansing energy where it creates a clear channel if I don't want any form of interference or I don't want any impurities to get through. And Candy is one of the first people that I passed this attunement onto because I knew that she would be able to make use of it and maybe reveal to me some more of what it actually does.
I when I first got this attunement, I think it about took me out. Like, I mean, I was out of it for like probably 3 days. I was trying to like, acclimate to everything. But yeah, funny. I was already attuned to the multiverse. I mean, I was already like I could see the multiverse before, like for like wait a long time. But then I was attuned to the multiverse, but I still had to like kind of go through like a process to get to it correctly. And I but when I got this attunement, suddenly all I had to do was be like open the multiverse, and I would see blackness, but like billions of stars would like just be there, and then all of a sudden it would turn into like a portal or a vortex, more like, and then it would suck me in, and then I'd be in the multiverse. And when I first got this attunement, he showed me my entire timeline back to my origin, um, and it was like there were like dots kind of, and I had to go through and like touch all the red dots, and every time I touched one, it would heal that timeline or that lifetime or whatever it was. But I started doing that, and it ended up draining me terribly. So I stopped. But I like every day I'll still go in and kind of like try to
Hmm.
heal them all. But it's um and funny how you mentioned portals. I have several portals open in my room just because I like them.
Hmm.
But I um recently used him to as a screen. Like I put like it's like a filter, so to
Hmm.
speak, over these portals, so that like you were saying exactly, like nothing can come through that doesn't need to come through.
Hmm.
So that's what he's doing for me now. He just kind of like has a screen up where the portals are open, but nothing can come through that isn't allowed.
Right.
So yeah, it's and that you talked about the portal. I have this like this thing will like a portal will open up a black hole, and it'll go like over me from head down to my toes,
Hmm.
and just basically like burn everything out, get everything out that doesn't belong, and then just like kind of heal it, and then just kind of stay there as a protection shield around me. And I can pull that up in like instantly. Like if I'm not and about, all I have to do is think about it, and it's there. Like boom, and it
Hmm.
pops up.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always liked about working with attunements. It's to the point where, like, when people want to learn magic from me, I'm always a bit hesitant to even start going into it because how do I begin?
Yeah,
Where where
exactly.
where I'm at now, I barely use sigils. I barely use any physical utensils.
Me neither. Yeah,
M-
I don't have all that fancy stuff that people use in rituals. I just don't.
Right,
So I do everything in my head, kind
exactly.
of. Yeah.
And if I use any ritual implements like robes, athames, etc., a lot of times I'll be doing that on the astral. So
Yes,
it's
that's
it's
what I
not,
do. I'll just go. Yeah, I'll just go to the astral and all my stuff's right there, and I'll just like use it as in the astral.
and I'll go so far as to say I think that's more effective.
I totally was just gonna say that. For me, it is. It's just like it just works better for me because I'm not
Hmm.
like in this like I'm just clumsy, and I'll be like, oh, should I put this there, or should I put that there, or no, does it go over here? No, it should go here. Like I just overthink it. But in the astral, it just comes more natural,
Right.
and it just happens.
And I also find that with the physical materials, a lot of times it's more difficult to discern what the energetic resonances are. Whereas on the astral, if I know I want or need a specific material to do something, it'll just appear in an instant.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think the difficulty there is that I know that this is more effective, but I also know I didn't start here. And I don't think that I could instruct just anyone to start with the visualization with the astral aspect because it does take time.
See, for me, I've always had it, but I
Okay.
mean, and this goes like as a child. I'm growing up. I've always had that. Close my eyes, I'm gone. But it wasn't like on purpose. I didn't know what I was doing until I started
Hmm.
getting into all this. Um, but like you were wanting to talk about the different aspects of the deities and who comes to you and why.
Hmm.
Um, so like I didn't like obviously I was a Christian. Well, I wasn't a Christian, but I was baptized as a Christian when I was 12. I had no idea what was going on. My mom made
Right.
the whole thing, and but I was never comfortable there. So when I grew up, I was got in my adulthood. I went through my whatever I had to go through, but I think for me, I think the aspects of the different ones, like for me, of Abaddon has been with me for a very, very, very long time. And I think his aspect comes to me because I follow that path,
Hmm.
that dark left hand path. Whereas like Apollo, of course, or Apollyon, he's not, I mean, not to say he's like love and light. I'm just saying like he's just a different
Oh,
pantheon.
absolutely not.
Right, exactly. But he's just a different pantheon. He's a different.
Hmm.
So for me, I think Abaddon was just the aspect that I would be more familiar with, like more
Right.
comfortable with, I guess.
What's really
That
interesting to
makes
me
sense?
with Abaddon is that depending on the brand of Christian lore that you're going into, sometimes he is considered an angel in God's service, albeit a
Mm-hmm.
wrathful one.
Yes.
So he'd still be quote unquote an angel of light in that circumstance, but he would be a wrathful angel, not
He's
unlike
almost like a
Samael.
double. He's almost like a double agent, like you're
Yeah.
saying. Like he works both sides.
Hmm. And of course, that's part of the Christianization and the quote unquote demonization of so many different things.
Yeah.
Just like with Samael, Samael is the original Satan, and Satan originally wasn't an adversary to God, but worked underneath God in tandem with God to test
Hmm.
and purify believers. It
Hmm.
wasn't until much later that Satan took on purely sinister connotations. Uh, but I know, like with Apollo, looking at Greek myth, looking at even Roman myth, Apollo has
Hmm.
never been a purely pleasant, love and light sort of god.
No,
Uh,
absolutely.
I believe he's always had associations with plagues and disease and things of that nature. And I think part of that was the fact that the Greeks did not shy away from the duality of their
Hmm.
deities. Unlike later on, religion framed everything as all good and all bad.
Hmm. Yeah.
I, like I know for me with Lucifer, it was particularly interesting because I'm fairly sure that Lucifer has always been with me. He's just been more quiet when I was younger and less receptive to his energies into his message. For me, it was really around the time that I became a teenager that I started hearing the call, so to speak. And funny enough, it started through a Christian rock album called Truthless Heroes.
Okay.
That really got me questioning things. And for about a decade, I would have called myself an armchair occultist, where I didn't believe that the deities had any actual existence. Uh, but I began to I began to gravitate toward the image of Lucifer as a romantic hero who wouldn't bend the knee to a tyrant.
Okay.
Then, as I started coming around to the reality of spirits, uh, my YouTube algorithm out of nowhere started serving me up all these videos from occultists that worked with these
Mm.
spirits.
Hmm.
Until eventually Lucifer's N kept popping up on a suggestion for every single video that I went to.
Oh, wow.
And at a gut level, I understood that so much as listening to that N was going to blow the doors wide open and there wouldn't be any going back. And I actually had very powerful visuals with that, which up until that point I hadn't experienced it. I hadn't experienced anything that I would qualify as being just beyond just a little bit out of the ordinary, just a little bit out of the range of normal. Uh, but this the energy overtook my entire body, and I did not see I did not see Lucifer as a male angel or a being of light in that sense. Instead, I saw him as a horned goddess.
Sorry, 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 sorry. Um, yeah, the same with me. When I was little, I used to see a man standing in the corner of my room, all black with a hat, and he's down there. He didn't. I wasn't afraid of him,
Hmm.
but midnight, and I would just look at him, and he would just stand there, just watch me, and he made me feel totally comfortable. And I didn't know who it was, obviously, because I was a very small child.
Hmm.
But I just let it go. But later on, I found out, and this is kind of funny because I know he gets a really bad rap. So I want to know what your take on it is. How do you feel about? I don't really have another name for him other than Hat Man.
Oh, the Man in the Hat.
Yeah, the
Um,
Saturnian turret. I
yeah.
know he has another name, but he's been with me all my life,
Hmm.
and he's been a protector of mine.
Yeah. With the Man in the Hat, my understanding of him is that he is a very good being to have in your corner. But there's also a lot of imposters that pretend to be him.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I mean, every time I bring him up to somebody, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Hat Man! Oh my
Yeah.
God, no, no!" I'm like, "No, you don't understand. It's not. He's
Hmm.
not like that, you know."
It's just like with Lucifer, where well, any being that's well known,
This is true. Yeah.
because any being that's well known, you're going to have the actual being, which
Right.
the actual being is going to be vast. We're talking consciousness that's more the size of a continent than it is a person,
Hmm.
with just as many aspects as there would be people within a continent. And then you've got the trickster spirits who deliberately pretend to be those entities.
Hmm.
And then you've got the thought forms and egregores that form from human consciousness and
Yeah,
imagination being
I
fed
agree.
into them
Yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
It's why if Christians go out there looking for Satan, they're going to find him. And they're going to find exactly what they expect because they've been feeding energy into that egregore this entire
Right.
time. But
Hmm.
the actual Satan is a lot more deep and nuanced than the depiction of him that they have in their head. Like I know that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons that Lucifer just appeared to me as a goddess out of nowhere. Uh, it never occurred to me that a male spirit would have a feminine manifestation like that, that
Hmm.
he would or could appear as a horned goddess. But I know now, and it made sense fairly quickly when I thought about it, that yeah, a spirit's not going to be bound by gender. And a spirit is
Oh
going to
yeah.
have
Yeah.
a spirit, especially like him, is going to have both polarities in balance.
Hmm.
So of course he has a female manifestation.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I know that the purpose for him appearing that way as part of my initiation was to completely turn my perceptions on their head. And by doing so, open me up to going deeper into this path than I had before, deeper
Mhm.
than I thought that there was to go starting out. Because that also coincided. I, I had a really trippy experience where I was on the highway, and I'm very glad that my muscle memory took over because, like, I had this full-blown vision of Lucifer standing in front of Jesus in the desert, and Jesus was learning from him. And I was being told in that moment that part of the reason that my birth name, because I ended up changing my name along the way for personal
Oh,
reasons. Eric was originally my middle name.
hmm.
My original first name was Christopher, and I changed that because the name means Christ bearer.
Okay.
And Lucifer told me that part of the reason I ended up being named that was as a callback to light bearer. That essentially he had been tied to me over a very long period of time, and that the word light bearer, the title light bearer, plays into my purpose for incarnating, and that uh, Jesus, he was showing me Jesus as a magician, learning from and working with him, as opposed to being the figure that the Christians paint him to be. And he also showed me so many other things where when I went searching around, I couldn't find anything to corroborate it, but I did over the course of years. So an example of that would be that he wasn't an angel in God's service. Like he told me I never fell,
Hmm.
which eventually led me to his identity as Phosphorus and Venus the morning star.
Okay.
And all of these different layers were packed into that original initiation. And it was clearly not just about him communicating things about himself to me, but also about opening up things within myself that I otherwise would have been ignorant of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Abaddon does that to me all the time. Like um, things I don't want to deal with. I'll put,
Hmm.
push away, and he'll just be like, no, 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 no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And
Hmm.
he'll just push it back at me.
Yep.
Like I can feel it being pushed back, like physically feel it. And Bilal does the same thing. Bilal, like just like he'll come and like sit on me, like I'll feel it
Yep.
physically, like he's making me do it, almost like against my will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and until I do it, he'll like literally like, just like drape himself over me. Like the weight of him is just like you're gonna
Hmm.
do it until I'm gonna sit here until you do it, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, because what it's doing is highlighting something within you.
Hmm.
It's highlighting something within you that you don't want to look at or wrestle with or move through.
Oh yeah.
And it just turns it up to the point that it's unbearable because
Hmm.
you have to move through it if you're going to realize your potential.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
It's also funny that
Yeah.
you brought up Belial because as you were talking about Abaddon, it's like, wow, that sounds a lot like Belial.
No, no, they both do it. Like usually it's Belial that comes in and does it, but Abaddon is there, and but
Hmm.
he's not. Abaddon's just like standing there, like, haha, you're gonna get in trouble now because you're not listening, like that kind of thing. And he's
Yeah.
like, just sits there and watches, like that. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah. I know for me, a lot of times it comes down to, you know what you're ignoring, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm like, okay, they're not there. They're not there. They're not there. And they're like, yes, we are.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
and
it'll be
Lucifer.
like, I'll say, I know, can I just ignore it a little bit longer?
Yeah, mhm, yeah,
And
exactly. And then
sometimes
Lucifer will
sometimes
pop
they'll
in.
back off.
Yeah, no, then Lucifer will pop in, and then there's all three of them bullying me, and they're like, "No, you're gonna do it." I'm like, "But I'm driving. I'm like at work." They're like, "So you don't care?" So you see me in
Yeah.
my car, like with all his hand movements and stuff, and I'm like wondering, like, "Oh my god, do you think I'm crazy sitting in my car doing this right now?" Yeah.
Some of the best magic I've ever done has been in my car.
Yeah, that's so funny you say that because I live in my car because of my job. I sit there like pretty much all day and I'll do everything in there. So like it feels like when I do stuff out there, it's more empowered than if I do it here in even in my room.
Hmm.
My car is just full of all this energy
Hmm.
that helps. But yeah,
Yeah, where you do a lot of magic, it ends up taking on a charge.
for sure.
Uh, like I know that in terms of inviting people into my spaces, I'll be careful about that because I know that even the most numb, like energetically numb normie is going to be very uncomfortable if they stay in the spaces where I do a lot of this work
Oh
on a
yeah,
regular basis.
yep. My daughter's doing like sometimes they'll come in here when the energy's like Hecate energy or calm
Uh-huh.
Lilith energy like that. They'll like to come in here. Like my daughter will come in here and sit, and she's not about this what I do. Like
Right.
she knows what I do, but she doesn't like she's a But she'll come in here and sit. But then other times she'll come in and she'll stick her head in. Nope, and she'll keep walking. I'm like sorry.
Hmm.
What's funny is my dog loves the energy in here.
Oh yeah.
Both my
Animals
dogs.
love clefaic energy in general.
But if I call someone in that they don't know,
Hmm.
he'll pick up the energy and he'll get nervous
Hmm.
and he'll start like fussing and I'll have to be like, okay, you guys, you're new. Either make friends with my dog, calm him down, because you're new. And then once he gets acclimated to their new energy, he's fine. He loves it.
Hmm.
He'll sit with me during rituals, everything. It's funny.
Yeah. I've noticed that in general, animals have been a lot more willing to approach me and a lot friendlier to me
Oh
since I
yeah,
started
and
working
kids,
with underworld
small
energy.
children,
Yeah.
small children always like smile at me and like
Yep.
wave at me. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is why it's hilarious to me when I hear people talk about, the devil's work and the impact that that
Oh yeah.
supposedly has on your energy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it, it's especially funny to me because, like, when you mention small children, it's especially funny to me when people mischaracterize these beings as being absolutely monstrous when
Mm-hmm.
they are more fiercely protective of like small children than any other beings that I've been aware of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I have a like my granddaughter. She's 2, and she'll she's like if she's sick or not feeling well, she'll crawl up in my arms, and all I have to do is call upon anybody really, and just
Hmm.
like calm her down, da 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 da, and
Right.
instantly she crashes, and she'll just like relax in my arms, and she loves this room. This is her favorite room in the house.
Hmm.
Just wants to come in here and play, and she
It
loves picking up my crystals and walking around with them in her hand.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, she's funny.
Children are
Yeah,
very sensitive to this sort of thing. And I know that people have these images of guardian angels, and like I'm not against angels. I do some angelic work,
mhm.
but people don't realize how dangerous angels are to
Oh,
incarnate beings
absolutely. They're worse
because
than I'm afraid of them. I don't even. Yeah, they're
yeah,
no.
if you're working with a being like Michael's is a good dude.
Yeah.
Michael will work with just about anybody. He's not hostile toward people who are like he's not hostile to incarnate existence.
Hmm.
And if I was calling on an angel to protect a small child, like Michael, Raphael, Uriel, I'd be okay with any of those. But the world of angels is so much vaster than the archangels that most people know about.
Hmm.
And their presence is terrifying in a way that a lot of these underworld beings actually aren't once you're familiar with them.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, exactly. People think they're all like loving. No, they're not.
No.
They can be. You can use them for opposite. Not like baneful magic or whatever. Call upon them to help you, and they'll do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the spirit world doesn't share our sense of ethics.
No,
And,
absolutely not.
and that's exactly what trips a lot of people up. Uh, Raziel, he's an angel, but I would say he's probably one of the darkest beings I've worked with, because he can be absolutely brutal.
Hmm.
There have been times where if I wanted to go into curse work, I know that Belial can absolutely destroy someone, no question.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of times, if I want the quickest and most thorough destruction of someone else, I'd go to angels.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like that's what like Belial, like you said, like he's I call him a bully, but like he's more like a big brother kind of
Right.
bully, like that kind of thing. For me, anyway. Like that's what he does. He just makes me do it. And Abaddon's the same way, but Abaddon's more like a fatherly
Hmm.
figure, as you could say. People are creeping around. Um, anyway, but what's funny is I wanted to bring this up. I had an experience when I first started with Abaddon, like getting to know who he was and stuff. I didn't really know him yet, and I was doing astral projection before I went to bed, like setting the intention just to go, just playing with it. And so I, this is kind of funny. I don't. It's just it took me. It's just funny. So I accidentally traveled to Abaddon's home, but when I got there, I don't know how I got in. I was allowed in, but I like to say I caught him in the shower because I popped in and I was standing in this like dark black cave,
Hmm.
and there was just like right in front of me there was like a kind of a light behind him, but he was in his demon form,
Hmm.
and he was all fiery red and all those colors, and he turned around and he saw me. We both saw each other at the same time, and he didn't know I was there.
Hmm.
He didn't invite me. So I scared him and he scared me. So he did this whole like thing at me, and he just as a reflex, I think he took me and he threw me back into my body.
Uh-huh.
And let me say I laid there for 20 minutes in horrendous pain. Like my
Yeah.
whole physical body. I couldn't, I was like crying. I was like, oh my God, I can't move, I can't move, I can't move. But it was just like, I'll never forget that. Like, I'll just be like, oops.
Hmm.
Like, how did that just happen? Like, I just like, he was taking a shower and I jumped in on him. I don't know.
Yeah, these beings are actually a lot more like us than I think a lot of people are able to grasp. They
Yeah.
are at once beyond us, but very much like us, and I think that makes more sense the more you tap into your heights and your depths, because you absolutely have aspects of yourself that are on par and may even exist in the same realms as they do. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have relationships with them going back lifetimes, then you're going to be attuned to them, you're going to be attuned to their realms. And what you talked about, where you just spontaneously pop into their realm, it happens. And it happens just because you are so attuned to their energies
Mm-hmm.
that you you're basically woven into that unconsciously.
Yeah. One night I actually, it was this about the same time frame. I was laying there, and you know how you're in that space between half sleep, half awake, like you're just
Hmm.
like nodding off. And I was laying there in bed, and all of a sudden I opened my eyes, and there was a figure standing at my bedside, all in white, and I felt them grab my hand, and they said a name, and then it went. They were gone, and all I
Hmm.
remember at the moment, all I remembered was the name started with an A. And I was like, and I didn't, I was frantically like looking, oh my God, who is it? Who is it? Because this was before I knew Abaddon, I think right before I got into him. And finally it started out like, oh, is it Azazel? Oh, is it da 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 da? It ended up being Abaddon. So he came to me that in that form too, all white, like a white thing, which is funny because when I finally met him in the astral and he came to my astral, he was wearing a white hoodie
Hmm.
and he wouldn't reveal himself to me for the longest time. And when he finally did, I demanded that he take his hood off,
Hmm.
and he took it off. He had red eyes, and he just stared at me. And I was like, okay, that's Abaddon.
Hmm.
So
It's
yeah.
also interesting that he came wearing white, because I feel like that would serve a dual purpose. I'd be interested what your impressions of that would be. I know for me, hearing that, my first thought is, well, a demonic aspect of a being wearing white would represent duality. It would
Mm-hmm.
represent the fact that, yeah, this is a dark aspect of his being, but he also contains a lighter aspect. He also
And
still
I think that's why
contains
he,
light.
and I think that's why he came to me like that, because then I was still like on the fence
Right.
about working with the more darker entities. So I think that's why he came to me like that, so he could show me like we're not all bad.
Hmm.
There's good, like it's all good. Like
Hmm.
it's you're safe, whatever you word you want to use. But yeah, that's I think that's why he came to me in that color.
I also think white is attention grabbing.
True. Yeah. So he's white. He's definitely, but now since then he's now turned red.
Hmm.
He wears red now, so he's kind of like jumped.
Right. And it's always interesting because with the way that these beings present themselves, they're always conveying something about themselves in however they appear. But I know that there's always a purpose in terms of what they're trying to show you specifically, or even what aspect of you is being reflected by them as you're interacting with them in terms of how they appear and what colors they use.
Yeah. Like for instance, like I just the way I visualize things is weird, but like with Belial, he comes to me in the form of like an anime ninja,
Hmm.
like Naruto.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen that anime?
Oh yeah.
He's the guy. I forgot his name. The guy that wears all black. He's from there. That's what Belial presents as when he comes in my astral. He's a black like a ninja wearing all black. I don't know why. That's just who he comes to me as.
Belial is one of those beings where I think he has more of a sense of humor than people give him
Oh, for
credit
sure,
for.
for sure.
Uh, I know that when I first made contact with him, my response to his energy, I could only describe me as fangirling for a while. Uh, and he would appear to me as like this flaming suit of armor, and it looked like something out of the game Dark Souls. And I'm just like, that is so cool.
Yeah, they definitely come to us in aspects that we're familiar with. It's
Hmm.
funny. Um, but yeah, Abaddon's has always been just Abaddon. But when I got a reading a long time ago, like again, way back in the beginning, um, before I even knew about this darker side of everything, like the left hand path, I was on the fence still. But I got my very first reading, and she, my ancestors, who my guides were, or whatever, and she kept talking about this woman that was wearing this dark blue cloak,
Hmm.
and she wouldn't speak, but she said she looked like a witch. She acted like a witch, and she said at the time that it was Bridget.
Okay.
But so I started researching Bridget, and I was like, just not clicking. Like it's just not feeling it.
Hmm.
And then I finally like went. I dug deeper and dug deeper, dug deeper, and it ended up being Hecate.
Hmm.
So now, even to this day, like she's still blue. She comes to me like usually in a blue, long blue like cloak with a hood, like a
So
like
it's
a
also interesting to me when you say the long
royal
blue
blue.
cloak, because the first thing that comes to my mind would be the Virgin Mary. And part of the reason that comes to mind in relation to Hecate is that I'm pretty sure that the Virgin Mary is partly how Hecate has carried on into the modern day. Like
That makes sense.
they've become conflated
Yeah.
to an extent.
Hmm.
So it's like it might not necessarily be the case for you, but I know for some people, Mary then becomes the channel for someone to get to Hecate.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I can see. I can actually, when you said that, I could see. This is kind of weird. This vision just popped up, like of a church kind of setting, or like a, and
Hmm.
then Mary standing there in her thing, but then all of a sudden, like inside her cloak is like a portal type thing
Yeah.
where like somebody would walk up to get blessings from Mary, but at the same time, there's that small portal there that's
Hmm.
gonna give them something else. Like let them know that there's more out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the thing that's very interesting to me about Christianity is that people largely don't know what Christianity is
I That is so true. Oh, absolutely.
or just how much of our ancient heritage and aspects of these different beings are present within it. And I think that that is both deliberate on the part of its makers because they're kind of putting a path to enlightenment right in front of everybody's faces, but in a form that most people will not recognize it.
No, and if
And
you try to tell them, they deny it.
yeah,
They can't grasp it. They're just like they don't want to grasp it. They just like no,
right.
no.
Well, I mean, it's just like traditional Catholicism, it's barely even monotheistic because once we get into the saints and praying to the saints, you essentially have polytheism that is dressed up in Abrahamic garb and where there's supposedly this one almighty God that reigns over them. but it's polytheism in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, it is. It's just, yeah, my husband's really getting into it. Like, he didn't believe in it all now, but I'll go to him and talk to him about stuff. And he's interested, but all of a sudden he'll just start going, how do you do this?
Hmm.
Like, it's just a lot of, he's like, that's a lot of it. Like, that's a lot of stuff. Like, there's just so much. I'm
Hmm.
like, there's this aspect, and I get like going on it. And then he's just like lost. I've lost him. It's like,
Yeah, and I think that until you start taking to it energetically and in a more grounded way, it's overwhelming for the mind. The mind
it is.
can't
I'll get
grasp it.
overwhelmed.
You
Yeah.
you
My
you
head will
need the
spin.
firsthand experience to be able to ground all of that and make sense of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I know when I did, totally jump in here, but I started doing readings a while back, like, just tarot readings. And I was unintentionally healing people with my
Hmm.
tarot reading.
Oh yeah.
Like, for instance, I did a reading, and it was a general reading, but it ended up being about relationship, love,
Hmm.
heal, like that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, I was talking to the person on the phone doing the reading, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, should they?" Anyway, come to find out that I did the reading. I told them what the reading said, and it all made so much sense. And all of a sudden, they were like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening?" Anyway, ended up being he had this trauma that he had that from previous relationship that he was like, had buried deep, and it was like
Hmm.
following him. And all of a sudden, it just burst open,
Hmm.
burst out of him, and he was like, it totally healed whatever trauma that was. The reading brought up. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And that ties into something that I believed for a while now, which is that divination isn't just about getting insight or predicting things. Uh, Divination is an act of co-creation when you're divining for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's why if anybody's going to someone else for, say, tarot readings, I would always say be careful about who you go to for that, because you're not just asking them to give you insight or input into a situation. You are asking them, paying them even to actively co-create within your life.
Yeah, I went to a tarot. I did a tarot reading. I was going to do a tarot just for fun of it, for somebody that I trusted, but it was the first time I'd done it with them, and they couldn't get in.
Hmm.
They couldn't do my reading because there was a woman guarding me,
Hmm.
and they said that they're like, there's a motherly woman standing there, and she won't let me in.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, I guess.
And that applies in other contexts too. Like there's so many people who I thought were like my friends. I thought that were people I could trust and rely on, who I learned, oh, they can't actually read my energies. And there's a reason for that. There's actually a very good reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because they're not supposed to.
Hmm.
They're not. There's something's up with them, and it's like, and I'll do the same. I just sadly I've gotten to the point where I trust very little people. Like,
Yeah,
now I'm starting to trust a few. Like, I open
yeah,
myself up to different people, but I still don't. I just can't. I can't bring
yeah.
myself to do it. Like, even for instance, like, just recently this happened. Um, so like when I do my healings, I tend to do them like I was tending to do them like unconsciously. Like, I'll see somebody that's having a problem, I'll just be like, boom, like
Hmm.
that kind of thing, boom. But then, like, other people, like potential clients or whatever, anything, just like I would it'll just start happening. And then I finally was like, no, stop doing that.
Hmm.
Like, stop just letting my energy go. Like, just don't give it away all the time.
Right.
And so I set that intention. And now when I try to do it, it won't let me.
Hmm.
Like, if I'll try to, like, and like I could feel it, like, nope, we're not giving anything to that person because you're not supposed to.
Right.
Like, it'll stop me. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, especially because there's a lot of cases where you might be able to solve a problem for somebody, but is it actually a good thing that you solve it? Is it
True.
actually good for them? And is it an act of self-betrayal on your part? Because it's an easy way to get yourself wrapped up in things that you're not even aware of, that
Yeah,
end
true.
up entangling your energy and holding you back.
Yeah.
When it's like you're not the one taking the action, you're not the one involved in that relationship. And I know when it comes to people, I was a lot more naive and optimistic about people before I started being a healer,
Hmm.
which it's hilarious to me because it's the exact opposite of what I think most people would expect. Because I think most people would expect, oh, you're a healer, so that you're more like a granola munching hippie type. It's like, no, I'm a lot more of a Dr. Cox. People are bastard coated bastards with bastard filling at this point. And there's a very small number of people who are actually an exception to that and who I'm meant to work with. And this is the other thing too, where even as a business, I think people have it in their heads that they have to work with a far higher number of people than they actually have to, even if they're trying to make a living off of it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you need to focus on who you're actually compatible with and who you can really help if you want to be able to do anything in this field, because otherwise, you're going to spread yourself too thin. It's
Mhm.
different to run a course versus coaching someone one-on-one or doing healing sessions for them or divination for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So like it's on the opposite end of all like the blocking energy. I've been working with the divine feminine, Lilith, Nama, the all that. And so they've been around a lot. And I have a friend that I see daily because I work with her, like, in the same context. Anyway, I helped her a while back with just a minor problem she had. And she believed, because I brought it up to her and I'm like, I'm supposed to tell you this. And I said it. I gave her a note because she was working. I'm like, read this. I'm supposed to give you this. And when she opened the note, she about died. She about fell down. She's like, how did you know? Anyway, so we fixed the problem and she's all better. But now what's funny is whenever I walk in and I walk up to her, she'll look at me and she'll just start smiling like this bright smile. She goes, thank you. And I go, this started like, wow, like a couple weeks ago. And she'll
Hmm.
just go, thank you. And I go, I little bit for what? I go, I didn't do anything. She was like, yes, you did. I go, I did. She goes, you walked in here and I felt all the bad leave.
Hmm.
Now my day has just gotten brighter because you came in.
Hmm.
She's like, I feel it. And it dawned, and this has been going on for a couple weeks now, like 3 or 4 times a week. And so finally it dawned on me the other day. She did this, like yesterday, I think it was. She did the same thing. And it dawned on me, I'm like, oh, I go, I know what's going on here. I go, I'm not sending the good energy. I'm pretty sure it's Lilith
Hmm.
that likes her. And so when I go through her line or I'm next to her, they just push it out and they're like, here you go. We like
Hmm.
you. But I'm not aware of it.
Right.
It's just like they're just giving it to her because they like her energy. They like her connection.
Hmm.
So I'm like, so that's the total opposite end of the spectrum of like keeping my energy or
Right.
keeping it. They're giving it.
Right.
So it's kind of funny.
And when we are doing things without doing things, it is amazing what we don't think anything of that can actually be very beneficial to someone else. So
Yeah.
I know with me, one of my gifts, but also one of my pitfalls, because this has tended to make people obsessive or make connections that aren't meant to be made or make assumptions that aren't supposed to be made. But one of my gifts is typically I can see people very clearly. And a lot of times I don't even realize that I'm seeing people so clearly.
Hmm.
And they'll respond very positively to that. Like just being seen is enough to clear a lot of things for people.
I think that's what it is. Like when I'm with her, it clear, like it just clears her out. Like when I
Hmm.
see her, like you see them. And then on the opposite, I see people and I'm like, oh hell no, get away from me. Like,
Yeah.
don't come in. Don't. Don't even
And
talk to me. Like, I'll set the intention to walk by them and be like, don't look, don't see me. I'm
yes.
invisible.
And I've had to work through a lot of trauma to be able to fully embrace this. But I've
Mm-hmm.
also realized that, okay, the things that are around me will sweep the energies out of an area that aren't supposed to be there or that are detrimental to me just on their own. And sometimes those energies will be people. And sometimes people will start acting very hostile toward me for apparently no reason.
Oh, yes.
And,
Yep.
and I had to clear the trauma away to be able to see that clearly and not take it personally and be like, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah. Roy.
Sounds like he's reacting to something.
Protest is not. Are you done? By the way, I think Abaddon and Belial are both here. So
Yeah, it looks like he got it out of his system.
He's right here. He's on the bed. Just lay down. Relax. I know. He's like, arr, arr.
It also reminds me of it wasn't a personal reading, but I was watching a general tarot reading on YouTube
Oh yeah.
shortly after I got started in magic proper. And that tarot reader mentioned a motherly spirit associated with the color purple that had been protective. It's like that resonated. And when I looked into it, it eventually led me to the spirit Horus, which is well, Horus to like give a better pronunciation because it's the female manifestation of Flarius.
Okay.
Uh, and when I tried communicating, what I got was that this spirit presented in the female form to represent the kind of protection that was being offered to me. So it was kind of like a motherly protection.
Mhm.
And specifically, I was shown that that spirit had been with me my entire life and was part of the reason that my father died when he did.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting.
Because the long and short of that, without getting too deep into the weeds, my father was a bastard. He died when I was 13,
Okay.
and he also died on a Friday the 13th in October under a moon that was in my north node.
Wow. That's crazy.
So it makes me
All right.
very happy that I never saw the alternate timeline where he didn't die when he did, because I don't think it would have gone well.
Hmm. Yeah, I just like I told you, I've told you this before. I just still am speechless about things that happen like that.
Hmm.
Like odd and awe. I just don't even know. It's crazy
Hmm.
how things work out. I just like coincidences, like, oh, that's just a coincidence. No, it's not.
Right.
I just don't believe in coincidences anymore. Like it just doesn't happen that way.
Hmm. And seeing how there's a lot of beings that you only recently become aware of that you realize they've been part of this the entire time.
Oh
They,
yeah,
they
like I
pl
said, yeah, like with Hatman, for instance, I was talking about him. So like he was way back then, but then moved to the more present time. When I first again when I was first on the fence and I didn't know really anything about the infernal divine or left hand path, not all of a sudden I was driving one day and the craziest thing happened. I started seeing Hatman was right here,
Mhm.
like right here in my visual, like to where I couldn't see. And I was driving, and all of a sudden, another person came in, and another person came in, and they were all like in my astral, but they were like in my like I was driving, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Hey guys, what is going on? Who are you people? Like, what is
Yeah.
going on?" I was kind of in shock because it was like, "Okay, what's going on here?" So I had to pull over
Mhm.
and like figure this out. And then it got to where I had so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of like spirits were like surrounding me and I couldn't breathe. I was having a panic attack.
Mhm.
So I like had to be like, okay, everybody step back and take a number for the machine over to the right. Somebody told me to do this thing. And I did, and it worked. So I put up a fence and I had to put up a fence and I'm like, you're on the other side of the fence. If you want to come in, check with the guy here, the big hellhound that's gonna guard my gate now.
I'm just imagining them being allowed through the gate and the Hat Man coming up to you. It's like tipping his hat, shaking your hand,
No,
giving
it's
you a
for
business
real though.
card. It's like, "Hi, I'm the Hat Man. How you doing?"
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was just like that. It's like, okay, just take a number and I'll get to you when I can. And then it would happen. It would be like, okay, there's somebody standing over there waiting for me to acknowledge them. I'm
Hmm.
like, just give me a minute. They always do it when I can't talk to them.
Right.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know that part of the reason they'll do that is because we need to get your attention when you can't ignore us.
Yeah. I'll be shopping and things will fall off the shelves. And I'm like, really? We're going to do this right now when I'm in the
Hmm.
grocery store? And I'm like looking around like, did anybody see that? They just don't care.
No.
But yeah, it's never a dull moment for sure.
Hmm. And I know going back to what you were talking about with Erebus and being shown your soul all the way back to its
Yeah.
origins. Uh, I didn't experience that with Erebus directly, but it wouldn't surprise me if he had a role in it. Because for me, that happened around the time that I was working very closely with Shemyaza in like 2021.
Okay.
And Shemyaza did not show me that specifically, but I was shown through my higher self that my soul, its origins goes all the way back to the appearance of humanity within this realm or on this planet. And I was shown various splits from that point.
Mm.
And I caught a glimpse of realities where humanity tumbled and went extinct on this planet. And I saw versions of this reality where humanity thrived. And I also
Mm.
saw this happen not just on this planet, but in other realms on other planets. I was told specifically that this is not the first time or place that the human blueprint had been utilized.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like the different Earths, like those,
Hmm.
like they've been destroyed and then rebuilt. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I was told like I was there the very first time that humans made pact with demons.
Hmm.
The first signing of the pact that the humans made in the very very beginning. I was in the room as I believe I was a servant or a priestess
Hmm.
to one of them when I was standing there watching it happen. So I was there for that, and then during Atlantis,
Yeah.
I was there for that, and then just those are the two big ones at the very beginning that I know about.
Atlantis is interesting for me because I know that I still have a lot of memories to recover from that era.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I know that part of the reason I have memories to recover is I very obviously have PTSD from it.
Yeah, I think I do too because I think about it a lot, and I just have to like I try to sort it out, sort of
Hmm.
like I'm that kind of person that I have to know the details. Like I have to know
Right.
like black and white. Like okay, why did this happen? Why? Like I
Hmm.
need to know like for certain, and it frustrates me and overwhelms me when I can't get the whole story.
Right. And I know that I've had to grapple with that more recently because I know all of this AI stuff recently has actually triggered PTSD related to Atlantis. I know that for a fact. And what I've been able to glean without specific details is that it's because this is very similar technology to what led to what gave me the PTSD.
Okay, that makes sense. Because what I know of Atlantis, it was destroyed because of from what I understand, I could be wrong, but it was destroyed because of the greed.
Uh-huh.
Like the magic is in the air, but everybody wanted to control it, and they tried taking it all and keeping it to themselves, and it became a whole big
Yes.
thing. And then magic was locked away and not allowed anymore, and all that. So
Yeah, and I know when it comes to technology specifically, like there are groups of people and practitioners who are just completely anti-technology, and I don't think that's correct either. I do understand it if they carry a lot of PTSD, but I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. Like in the current age, where what I think is triggering my PTSD from that prior era is the fact that our current tech bros are very much trying to bind and control and manipulate. And they're using what technology they develop not for the betterment of humankind, but they put it in our hands specifically to manipulate and lock us down. That doesn't mean that every single application or use of it is going to result in that. Like, obviously not. We're communicating right now through wonderful technology, and this conversation wouldn't happen without that. But I know, like, I've seen visions of, say, different versions of computers that would hail from that sort of era, at least in terms of what I understand it to be.
mhm.
Or like you would have these uh, computers filling an entire room that wouldn't look like computers to us as we know them, but would actually be even more powerful than anything that we're aware of, where you've got these giant crystals and you have devices surrounding the crystals that allow their energies to channel in and allow you to interface with them and work with a terminal not unlike what we'd be familiar with. And the
Mm.
the information, the energies wouldn't be restricted. You wouldn't have a specific kind of information or a certain bias coming in. You'd actually be drawing these energies and this information from the aether.
Mm.
Whereas something closer to the modern day microchip, it's like the energies are bound up in a specific way, and that the energies are only allowed to channel along those circuits, which limits what you're able to get from them according to the will of the ones who designed the chips.
Mm.
And so I see us at the current, in our current state, like I'm very optimistic about the future ultimately. I
Mm.
don't think that there's anything to fear. I don't think that my PTSD is going to repeat or get deepened by whatever's happening. But I do know that humanity is in a very interesting place where I think there's a lot of collective initiations going on. And the key thing is going to be maintaining our own personal sovereignty and making sure that we're using our devices and we're using whatever technology emerges to serve our highest good and what we are bringing into the world, as opposed to being shaped by it.
Yeah, but that's just it. Like I mean, a lot of people are using it. Like I'll use it as a tool, like
Hmm.
to help me do stuff. But then there's that other side,
Oh yeah,
like they're the ones that are like doing what kind of like what it wants them to do,
right.
like
Yeah,
become.
there are people turning it into a kind of god,
Yeah.
and that's the danger,
Hmm.
especially if they outsource all their thinking to it. Uh, I think, for example, a really creative person who takes a photograph, they start making alterations to it, they start shaping it into what they want it to be, and then they use AI to help them put those finishing touches on it, or to open up brand new possibilities that didn't exist before the technology.
Yeah.
I think that person is in a good position. Whereas
Hmm.
I think somebody who goes to the AI and just prompts it to make something for them, or worse, allows the algorithm to program them to request certain things from the AI. I
Hmm.
think that's where they go into very dangerous territory.
Okay. Yeah. 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 I agree. Yeah.
So yeah, this has been a really good talk.
Yeah. Of course, we got off topic, but that's how it goes. That's the fun of
That's
it.
exactly how you want it. Like the way I figure it, any itinerary, uh, if you try to set a conversation according to a list of bullet points, unless you have a very dense topic where it's important that you stay on task the entire time, that just kills conversation.
I just think there's just so much to talk about. Like you can go
Hmm.
on for days. You know.
Exactly. Yeah, and you want to see what's revealed by the different things that you go into,
Mhm.
and also allow the spirits to kind of nudge things in certain directions, which I know that they have this entire time.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like, um, yeah. I don't know. Just they're in my head right now.
Yeah, well, Lucifer is definitely present, and I mean, of course he would be. I'm wearing his symbol
Oh
right
no,
now.
he's been here. Like he's over there. I'm just like they're just like standing there watching me. Like all three of them, Lucifer, Belial, and Abaddon are both like they're all three just like hanging out,
And
and
what's
it's
funny,
upsetting my dog tremendously.
what's funny to me with Lucifer, I think I've described him this way to you before, where he can be as subtle as a whisper or as flamboyant as a pride parade.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And lately
My
he's
dogs are
been
so
more
upset.
subtle. Like today, it's definitely been more of a whisper, but it's definitely been a, wait, I didn't intend to go into that. That's not my thought. Okay, if you
Yeah,
want me to run with it,
exactly.
if you want me to run with it, I will.
Yeah, that's what they do to me all the time. Like, oh, these thoughts will jump into my head. I'm like, I don't know where that came from. That was not me. And I've been like good about like not blurting things out in public that I
Uh-huh.
want to say to people. I'm just like, no, what? That's probably not a good idea.
And I think this is something that I want to go into more, either in a future conversation where we sit down or an article, some format. Like I want to go into attunements more, what they are,
Oh, for
how
sure.
they work, how you work with them. Because I think that that's probably going to pique a lot of people's curiosity. And I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of people who might end up seeing this who aren't nearly as familiar with the concept of attunements as like the people who will immediately see it.
Oh yeah, because when I didn't know what an attunement was. Like what way back. Like what's an attunement? Like what does that even mean?
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people would benefit from them.
Yep. Yeah.
Like
And the one thing I will say about it before closing out is that there's a process to attuning to an energy. Is being attuned to something is basically being able to immediately turn the dial to a specific radio frequency
mm,
and then either work with that specific energy or communicate with that specific being. And so for anybody who is completely in the dark about this, but who works with spirits and who performs magic, the process of attuning to something is going to happen naturally, even if no one does a specific attunement for you, as long as you're consistent. So, like when I started working with Lucifer, it used to be that I'd have to recite his N anywhere from 11 to 100 times before I felt a
mm,
shift in the air.
mm,
These days, all I have to do is think his name and I feel his energy. So
yeah.
if you are consistently working with a being, you will gradually attune to them over a course of months or years.
Mm-hmm.
And the advantage with that is I would encourage anyone who has experienced this, if you can feel a spirit's presence just by saying their name or just by reciting their N once, run with it and see what kind of results you can get. Because if you stick to the same template the entire time that you're doing magic and performing energy work, it will get stale and it will get less effective over time. Your practice is meant to evolve.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been attuning a lot to all the elements and including the planetary elements,
Hmm.
um, the um, like astrology, I can't even talk right now. The planets and then the elements, the sun, the moon. All I've been working a lot with those energies and attuning to all those now,
Hmm.
working on those. So that's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I know that the elemental attunements that you sent me a while ago with Shemyaza's help were extremely potent.
Oh, cool. Yeah. See, I don't send them to a lot of people, so it's like it's good to know the feedback I get. So I've
Hmm.
been building on those attunements with other attunements that I've
Right.
gotten that I've so they're all like incorporating it all into one.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to where this ends up taking us because I think that there's going to be a shift in the paradigm. I think that things probably will move more in the direction of direct energy work, astral work, and attunements versus what you would consider maybe classical magic.
Right.
Because it seems like at least anybody that I'm talking to on a regular basis, that they either started with more traditional methods and they're moving toward astral and direct energetic work,
Hmm.
or they just started with the direct astral and energetic work.
Yeah. I tried to do the basic classic ritual work, but it just doesn't work for me
Hmm.
as well the astral. So I just moved right into the astral. And I do both, but I do more on the astral because I'll literally be in my car driving and I'll be doing something in the astral at the
Right.
same time. So I'm multitasking.
Well, hey, it's been great talking to you today. Thank you
Yeah,
so
you
much for
too.
joining me. And
Yep.
for
Okay.
anybody who wants to uh, hit us up for services or read the articles that I publish, I'm going to put both of our websites in the description.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Talk to you soon.